Hello, everyone. Welcome to another series of our conversations on the Environmental Citizens Campaign. Joladarsha has been conducting an online environmental citizens campaign where many of you have participated. Those of you who haven't participated as yet, please log on and look at the link at our event page or the links that we are sharing on WhatsApp in various groups for you, or contact us so that we can share the link with you. In terms of today's discussion, it is after we've been studying the responses from various citizens in Kolkata, and what they have come up with is that they feel that air pollution is one of the top issues in the city today. So we are excited to bring to you Ajay Mittal, who is a climate activist, and he is a global leader. He's done an amazing amount of work under the Under 30 Leadership Program. He is Ajay started the Kolkata Clean Air Campaign in 2017, and which evolved into and the Active Citizens for Sustainability. This organization has been conducting some model state citizen partnerships on air pollution. So, Ajay, we look forward to hearing more about the same from you. We also know that Ajay is a global youth leader. He's currently the director at climate change programs at the Earth Day Network, which has partners over 75,000 partners across the world. He's also a member of the Climate Action Steering Committee of the Global Shapers Community at the World Economic Forum. Ajay has recently gone through a climate reality leaders program. So we look forward to hearing more about this from you, Ajay. He's in conversation with Debulina Dotto, who teaches law and with a specialization in human rights. So over to you, Debulina, and looking forward to a great conversation today. Thank you.
First of all, a very welcome to you in our group or in this conversation. So we are looking forward to hear from you regarding your work, regarding your inspiration towards the society as well as our youth. Right. So being a teacher, I'm so much excited to train our uh, future generation. That means the school or college students. But how can we inspire them to know about your environment and to work for the environment? First of all, I we would like to know from you that from where you get the inspiration to work on this particular field, especially the environment. Most of the people are working which is related to child trafficking or legal aid, like this. But environment, it's a completely a different perspective from the youth side. So from where you get this information and how will you inspire people? If you share us your journey with us.
Thank you, everyone, for having me here. So, I'll just start with a brief of how I got involved with the environment space. And I do not have a background in terms of my education. I studied computer applications, and there's nothing to do with environment or development domain at all with me. So, I have been as a working as a volunteer since 2011. Where I started working with an organization called Hive India, which rescues people from streets of Calcutta. It's an organization which has got very silently works. The founder name is Nitai Das Mukherjee. He has been an inspiration to me. He goes around the city, rescues people who are maybe abandoned or maybe victim of any kind of abuse or just lying unattended homeland person in need of a medical emergency. So he rescues them, rehabilitates them, restores them, reunites them, and that was my inspiration. And I started volunteering with them, with him. Then I started involved with another organization which is called Project Life Force, where we worked on blood. That was a great experience building a voluntary organization from the scratch. Today, it is one of the largest organizations working on blood in the city. So this is the background where I got involved with these issues, and I understood and found out that these are things when I work on, it kind of fills me up. I get absorbed in such kind of activities, and I also realize all of these. What really attracts me is public health, like health related issues, and that is when time when we a lot of things were happening in Delhi in terms of air pollution, and I came across a report which is a Lancet Commission report, which says that more people die of air pollution across the world than AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria combined. And that really shook me up. It was something I was not aware. So I digged a bit deeper and I understood that Kolkata air pollution levels were probably as bad and sometimes even worse than Delhi, but it was not being reported. Uh, it, and there was no real-time monitoring happening in the city, so people were unaware. We did a perception survey at that point of time, and we did the survey at the Kolkata Book Fair, where we have so many people, and we collected about 20,000 responses from the sample, and all of these samples, the perception of people was that yes, air quality in Calcutta is bad, but it is probably not as bad as Delhi, or it's not as dangerous. It's bad, just bad. So that's when we understood that two things. One, what could relate people to air pollution is, one is people's health with air pollution. Second, we need more data about air pollution so that people can be aware, people can relate to the pollution levels, because pollution is not something which is visible to people with clear eye. Like if I take a sample of water and put it in a glass, I can probably see if it's dirty or not from naked eyes. Of course, I cannot see all the kind of impurities, but still it's visible to me. But the air that I'm breathing is not a choice with me. I can still see the food that I eat. I can still see the water that I drink. But the air is not a choice that I this thing. So that's where we a lot of organizations came together and built this collective called Kolkata Clean Air. It was a citizen-driven movement where we didn't have a lot of resources, but we had a lot of hands working together, and we put in all our efforts. Someone would bring in something like offer their space for meetings, someone will offer their network for connections, and all those things came together, and that's how this collective work started happening. We engaged with doctors and started highlighting the health impacts of air pollution. We bought some low cost sensor based monitors and started reporting this data through media, so that media played a very important role in amplifying this thing, because it helped reach more people. So the role of media was very important, and all other stakeholders, everyone together as citizens, we started this. So just before this introduction, I think Apala mentioned that the survey said that air pollution is a major city among the minds of the citizens. I think that's one of the success stories, I would say, with Kolkata air pollution and other campaigners who have worked, and the role of media, that now people perception has changed. People recognize air pollution as a issue in the city. And that's, I think, one of the most important things for a campaign to reach a certain point where it has awareness and acceptance in the masses that it's a critical issue. So that's where we least. And other side of things is that where there is impact, how do you see some actions which have been taken by government or people which has created an impact. So there has been series of measures which the government has taken. I remember when we started first uh, pointing out the air pollution data is not there, or the air pollution is very bad with the low cost sensor based monitors. There were some responses by government where said that it's not as bad, or there was nothing as bad this thing. And right after 1 year, there was a statement by government where the environment minister himself accepted that the air quality is pretty bad and we should avoid morning walks in the morning. So that's the change that we saw, and it was all possible because of the transparency that data brought in. And this was because of local sensor based monitors that we installed, and then there was real time monitors which were installed. So Kolkata now has about six of these real-time monitors that people can see the air quality. So this data has brought in a lot of transparency, and of course, the people are more aware with in terms of health impact. So those things have created an awareness. Government has also played an important role in, I would say, in terms of installing these monitors, bringing in transparency. And the government of India came up with the National Clean Air Action Plan, where Kolkata was amongst one of the cities which is non-attainment cities list of cities. So they revised that list and added more cities, and now West Bengal alone has about 7 cities this thing. I think that is the second state or the third state in terms of the maximum number of non-attendance cities. So that's a little background of Kolkata Clean Air. In terms of activities, we have done numerous activities. It's been a lot of youth-driven activities. Like we launched a competition among colleges where it was about doing some Nukkad Nataks, where they would create a script. They would and there were prizes on two measures. One, how you deliver that message, and second is how many of events you organize in the community to in terms of outreach. So those were two parameters. We did something like that. We wanted to involve citizens. We launched a campaign called Report a Polluter, where all we ask people is that if you see a polluting vehicle or someone burning garbage during, which is very common during winter months, and like the KMC workers or individuals or garage workers who they burn heap of garbages. So if you see that, just click a photo and put it on social media with the hashtag report a polluter, tag Kolkata Police, tag KMC, tag Pollution Control Board. Also, we had launched that time a WhatsApp number where they can send us and we would take it up with the authorities. So these were some things we did. We did some interesting media campaigns where we wanted to attract the message. Like we did a yoga with mask on World Yoga Day. So that was the idea, that a lot of people see during winter and other times also morning activities like walking, running as a health activity. But if you're doing these activities in a time where the air quality is really bad, it can actually have more severe consequences than you perceiving it as a health activity, as a fitness activity. So because if you're doing any kind of sports activities, you are inhaling more air and you are inhaling it much deeper, so it causes more damage. And in Kolkata, one of the most causes of pollution, if we talk about, is diesel vehicles. We have one of the largest fleet of diesel vehicles. There is this report that 99% of our commercial vehicles are diesel vehicles in the city. So that's really something which we need to take care of. Although 15-year-old vehicles are banned in the city, there have been numerous vehicles that I have personally located and reported to Kolkata Traffic Police and the West Bengal Pollution Control Board. Those are vehicles which are still plying on the streets of Calcutta after crossing the 15 years of their time, and it's a long drawn order. So we lack a little bit of compliance on those spaces. Garbage burning, there was an order by the Kolkata police to put a ban, and there were strict measures by KMC also taken, but we still witnessed garbage burning. And there are multiple other factors which contribute to air pollution in the city. I can't hear you. I think you're mute.
Unmute.
Yeah, sorry for that. Okay, so it's a very good idea we have. So you just tell us that there is a government shared their thoughts with you guys, matlab your organization, with your organization. So, but now I just have a question, that what kind of an obstacle you have when you guys are started? What kind of an obstacle are there, and how the youth interested in this particular issue? They are interested or they are not interested? When you go to the colleges or school, how they resonate with you with this particular issue?
Yes, so as I said, this has been very youth-centric, very citizen-centric campaign, and in terms of obstacles, I personally feel that the way we put up this campaign, we were not trying to target any institution or any this thing, because I think air pollution is a very cross-boundary issue. It is something which affects everyone, even a politician or a doctor or any community, everyone is equally affected. No one has the luxury of like kind of breathing clear air if you are in ambient air pollution. Of course, indoor air pollution, we can still talk about some kind of issues in terms of availability of resources, but in terms of ambient air, everyone is equally exposed. Some people are more vulnerable in their nature of work. So that's why we kept the name of of the campaign also Kolkata Clean Air. We wanted this to be a positive campaign, or not like something an anti-pollution campaign or something like that. We didn't want that. Our vision was very clear. We want air pollution. We want to improve the city air quality, and that's a parameter for making the city more sustainable, because that's only possible if we adopt sustainable practices. Like, it is not that once the air pollution levels increase, you can use technology to absorb the and purify the air. That's not the solution. The only solution is you reduce emissions and move towards cleaner sources of energy and cleaner transport, and practice better measures in terms of construction activities, take control of activities like garbage burning. So those are things. So we identified three areas of work. One was, of course, transport. Second was about waste, and third was greening the city. So these were three kind of small heads that we identified, and we started activities in this area, like in terms of transport and all. We would engage with transport workers. We did a perception survey. We did a health camp with them. We took samples of their lung function, basically PFT tests we conducted, and we made them aware. We gave them masks to wear, because these are people who are exposed to ambient air because of the nature of their work, and they're also in a way contributor because they drive public vehicles, and some of them are polluting. So made them aware about how it affects them and the lives of other citizens as well. So that's with the transport. We did certain activities. We did some workshops and all. In terms of greening the city, that's where we went with schools and this thing. We did workshops on seed balls. We worked on vertical gardening. We engaged with the city. This thing that the green cover in the city is pretty low, and we have a crisis with space, because the road space in Calcutta is very, very small. We are an unplanned city. There's a lot of challenges. It's not that we can blame completely the like the government or the police for this thing, because the city traffic is growing, but and there is very less space, so the congestion is there, and because of congestion the emissions are higher. So that's there, but we have to find alternatives. So we thought that vertical gardening could be one solution. So we encourage students to do vertical gardening workshops, build vertical gardens. We did plantation drives under this, those things we did. And in terms of waste, we did a lot of workshops with mostly women on composting and waste segregation. We really wanted to push waste segregation and this thing. We had really good plans with waste segregation, but this lockdown thing happened that time. And if you notice, before that, the KMC was also started to promote waste segregation, and they were doing a pilot in these things. And a lot of things have got affected because of the lockdown and COVID crisis. A lot of our plans, a lot of these things have been affected. And so that's about the activities in terms of this thing. And in terms of youth, yes, the response has been very positive. We did a clean air leadership workshop with youth, where we got college students from different colleges to come here, and we did workshops with them. We taught them how to make do it yourself air quality monitors. We made them how can you make do it yourself air quality purifiers using HEPA filters and everything. We did some YouTube videos and this thing, and we from that we had some technical people who taught these students. So those were exciting activities for them. At the same time, we made them aware about these things, and encouraged them to be part of the solution in terms of reporting air pollution through the Report a Polluter campaign, and think about their consumption patterns. So a lot of things we did with the youth as well.
And what about the common citizen? Beside the youth, what about the common citizen? When you are working, what are their attitude?
I think it's very mixed attitude in terms of citizen interaction that we had. So there are people who. So I don't think there are people who debate about air pollution is bad, but some people think that it's not as bad, or people think that it doesn't affect immediately. That's a factor, that people don't think it affects their health immediately, so it's not as bad. So that's one of the things. Well, so that's why we did engage with a lot of doctors, and when doctors come out and speak about health, it really rings a bell. So that's what we have sent. The message through health has reached more people than the environment side of things. Like there are two types of things about air pollution. One is that because of the emissions, what you are inhaling is affecting your health. That's direct, this thing. But at the same time, these emissions also contribute to climate change and all those factors that we know about. So the solution, there is a common solution to both these problems. to how it affects human health and how we can build a sustainable city. And that's in moving towards cleaner technologies and building more sustainable cities. At both institutional level, a lot of things can be done. At a personal level, also a lot of things can be done to come at solution. And no one solution can actually solve it unless there is efforts from both citizens and government. Then only we can solve a issue like such complex issue like air pollution.
My next question is, what about the legal remedies regarding these issues, or how the legal person react, how they are
Uh,
working with this issue?
So we also took a stand that we will not uh, be, as I said, targeting any institutions. So we didn't take the legal route in terms of filing any petitions or anything. This thing, but it was as a group we will not do it. If someone within the group who has been working wants to do it as an individual, they can do it. That was one of the decisions we take because we really wanted to. As I said in this thing, we wanted to build a partnership between all stakeholders. And how can we work for a solution rather than just accusing the government and everything? We wanted to have discussions with them rather than accusing them about the problem, because I think that air pollution problem everyone contributes. No one can say that they don't contribute. Someone contributes more, someone contributes less. Government of course has a very big role to play, but it is also with citizens have a big role to play. So that's what our philosophy was with this thing. So we didn't take the petition route, but yes, there have been certain legal things which have helped in this thing. One is, of course, the ban on diesel vehicles between the 15-year-old. Then there were some cleaner fuel ROMs like BS6 vehicles were only thing. We skipped the technology BS5 in terms of the fuel standard. So those things were there. Then there was ban on garbage burning. So that was there. There is a clean air action plan which the city has submitted, which is under the National Clean Air Action Plan. So those measures were there. So these are some of the measures, I think. Then there were some notifications by the Pollution Control Board for construction activities, some guidelines being shared with them to followed. So there are a lot of legal areas, but we have not really gone deep into those areas in terms of, we of course wanted government to be more vigilant about these activities in terms of taking action against polluting vehicles, construction activities, and all of these things. But something we didn't dive in directly into in terms of legal activities. But there are other peoples, there are petitioners who have taken the government to the court in terms of non-compliance or not being able to take action. So those things have also happened. We have followed up on that, but we have not got involved in that.
One more important part, I just already saying that you are a trained climate reality leader, right? So can you please tell us about this? Because this is a very interesting word and we don't know anything about this. So we want to know about this. Climate
So climate
reality leader.
reality. Climate Reality is an organization which is founded by the Nobel laureate Al Gore, who is the former vice president of US. And Al Gore is a very big name in terms of the climate movement. This thing. So this organization has a training program where which I got to attend because of my connect with Global Shapers community. Because of that, I got this opportunity to get attend a training in June in Brisbane, Australia, where this training was organized, where this really helped me a lot because, as I said, I didn't have any background in environment. I got involved because the health crisis that I saw because of air pollution, and that's how I started understanding a little bit about environment. And this particular training actually opened my eyes in terms of how severe and how urgent climate crisis is. It's not something which is in process. It's there right here. We can see examples of climate crisis in terms of the natural disasters. We right now know that our some states like Bihar, Assam are completely flooded. We know what's happening in Mumbai. Part of it is because of because of climate change. We know how droughts are affecting, how vector-borne diseases are more severe, how forest fires frequency has increased, how cyclones intensity and frequency has both increased. We just saw how Amphan was so destructive in these things, and before that we saw Foni. So we have seen tropical cyclones are more frequent and more intensive in this thing. So those all factors, I understood how climate change is contributing and how it's affecting human lives, how it's a issue of social justice as well, how some communities are most affected, how they are vulnerable, how they are less equipped to fight climate change. And I also learned how my city, Kolkata, is amongst one of the most vulnerable cities in terms of sea level rise, in terms of its population density, in terms of its assets, one of the most vulnerable cities. So those things really opened my eyes in my understanding about the environment and really pushed me to think more deeper into my environment. All of these things that I was doing under Kolkata Clean Air was completely voluntary. It was just I out of passion and the movement that we built, and then I kind of rethink what I can do to get more involved, and that's how I later in the year after that I got involved with Earth the Network as a consultant and director, and I'm now kind of professionally for the first time working in for the environment as well. So I continue to work on Kolkata Clean Air as a volunteer role, and we still run that campaign. But I also have a professional role now at the network where I look into climate change programs in terms of energy programs more specifically. And so yeah, that's how it has impacted my career as well in terms of not just this thing. So it's have a significant impact on me at least.
Just because of the word climate reality. This is a very important and very interesting word, climate and reality. These things are equally connected because, as you say the earlier, that we don't know about the actual air pollution of Kolkata. We feel like it is good for inhaling, but the reality is something different, what you've gone through. So this particular word is very interesting and very helpful for us. Now, one more question I have from the very beginning, that you already tell us that there is 7 city of West Bengal. They are working for this climate change situation or the air pollution. So can you
They're
please tell me
non-attainment
what?
cities.
I didn't get you.
So there's a national clean air action plan. Under those, there are 7 cities which are listed as non-attainment cities in West Bengal.
Okay. Okay. So in West Bengal, rather than Kolkata, there is any other movement happening throughout the West Bengal?
So right now, I am not aware about any such movement, but yes, within the group and some partner organizations, there is discussions going on to expand the work and build a state level network that works on air pollution in the state. So that's a thing in progress. This thing. Uh, so how can we replicate some of the success in terms of what we had with Kolkata Clean Air? How can we take it to other non-attainment cities across West Bengal and build a network among each other to interact with each other and overall have a systemic change in terms of air pollution is concerned.
So after 5 years, what do you think? What is going to happen in our air if you work like this? If you guys work like this, or more youth can join you, or they are aware of the air pollution or the Kolkata's air situation, what will be our future in your eye?
I really think that there are a lot of things here, a lot of factors that depend on it, and it's not. I think I was mentally prepared that it's not something we can get very huge success in short term. It's a long term objective because to address the air pollution issue, we have to work on a lot of factors in terms of how city transport is, how waste management city in the city is. So those factors, and those factors are factors which will take time. But I am really hopeful that probably because of this COVID situation and all, if things can take a different turn in terms of if there are people who become more conscious or people this thing, I don't know if this can accelerate the process, but overall I think it will be a long term impact in terms of 5 years from now. I'm really hopeful that we at least don't go to a worse situation from here, because the way things are increasing in terms of the private vehicle fleet in Kolkata was increasing, the activities in terms of construction, in terms of the population density, everything is increasing. It was very dangerous. We as a Kolkata city have a lot of opportunities also, and this thing, like, we have a very good public transport system. Like, we have the metro, we have the tram, we have the circular rail, we have uh, buses, we have taxis and everything. And 70% of people actually, 70% of our trips is very small trips, because Kolkata is not very big as a city in terms of this thing. It's very small trips. So what so one part which is missing is like cycling. So if there could be more cycling which can come in, because which we have seen in terms of COVID. Now because of COVID, there are concerns like infection, so a lot of people do not want to take public transport. And for a poor person, like, who cannot afford a car, their only source of personal transport is either a two-wheeler or a cycle. So we have seen a rise in the cycle. In fact, you must have noticed that there are there's a shadow ban on cycling in different parts of the city, and Kolkata police had taken up that restriction off for a certain period of time, considering that during the COVID time, during the lockdown, it's important that people travel through cycles for their work and everything. So that's we see a huge rise in number of cyclists on the city. So that's a very positive thing. Can the government take this up and bring support this change in terms of infrastructure? Can we do that? If that happens, that will be a very positive thing that can really speed up things. If we have seen so many examples from Western world where we have seen cities taking up cycling, has and that will have significant impact on the air pollution levels. It will have significant impact on people health, because it's an active transport. People will be more fit if they are cycling regularly. So there are a lot of good factors with related to cycling. So if those things factors come into play, we'll definitely have a lot of positive things. And also how people consume in terms of uh, uh, reduction of waste. Like, if suppose we start segregating waste and everything, waste management system have to improve. We need people to start. First thing is reduction of waste, then comes the segregation and everything. So, and what I really want to say is that it will be a mix of factors in terms of people's consciousness and the actions that they take, and at the same time some government intervention which can actually accelerate and sustain those efforts.
Okay, and one more question I have in my mind, that there is a lockdown almost 2.5 months. We have a proper lockdown, right? Since 22nd of March. So there are a lot of bad things. Definitely, there are a lot of bad happens with our mental health, with the our regular activities. But environment got very I mean, what I said, environment is got pollution free, right, during this lockdown. So do you really think every year we should have at least 2 days lockdown for the environment
I don't think that's a
purpose?
sustainable solution. I don't think that's a sustainable solution, because, see, for that's my personal opinion. Because I think even if we need it's important that people have their jobs and economy is also sustained, because lockdowns are not a long term solution. Uh, Lockdowns, the forced lockdown actually gave us one perspective, that yes, if we were thinking that we can never improve the air quality, or we can never improve the quality of Ganga water. There's so many efforts being done, but we have seen that if we uh, move towards a more sustainable activity, then nature has the power to repair itself. So that's evident now. We have seen that things are possible. For the first time, we probably saw the what the base level of pollution could be if there are human activities, when industries are not working, or there are less cars or no cars on the streets. So we can measure those factors, and we can see those positive changes that you mentioned. So that's the thing. But in terms of lockdown, I don't think that's a solution. What is a solution is that we invest in a more sustainable this thing, and bring in a balance of activities. Now, for example, there are certain things which I think and a lot of people are also mentioning is going to be permanent in future is less people going to office. So if you see, that's a lot of significant activity going down in terms of thousands and thousands of commuters daily. If the number of commuters are going down, that's less pollution, less congestion. So that's kind of a factor coming in. If we have so there are many such factors which we can consider in terms of this thing. If people have started realizing what they need and what they want, kind of stuff. So if people start kind of avoiding overconsumption or start living a more minimalistic life, I'm not sure if that is going to happen, because most of the articles or stuff that I've been reading is that once we come out of this COVID situation, we will go back to square one. We will not learn from this, is what the perception is. And we also saw some examples of this. Like if you see, as industry started opening up, uh, the air pollution levels have come back to the normal in some parts of India already. Although this is monsoon time, so the air quality is generally better because of weather factors. But we will get to know in December this year, provided how the COVID situation plays at the end of the year, we'll get to know that how the air pollution levels are. And my perception is it could probably be a very, very dangerous situation, because this is a respiratory virus, and if air pollution factors comes into play and if triggers something, it could be a really health disaster for the city. So there are reports which say that 70% of our citizens suffer from some form of respiratory disorder. These are reports from Calcutta. And there are reports which say 47% of people suffer from LRTI, lower respiratory tract disorder. So these are significant numbers. And there are reports which I read from Europe which says that there is a strong correlation between COVID and air pollution, in terms of there is higher mortality in at locations where their air pollution levels are considered to be bad. So there is a direct correlation, and looks very obvious, because this is said to be a respiratory virus which attacks the lungs, and if someone's lung is vulnerable because of exposure to air pollution, that person's risk of mortality will be high. So there are a lot of factors in this thing, but I don't think lockdown is a sustainable solution. We definitely need a balance between economy, ecology, and that is important, I think.
So thank you so much. Shantinidhi, if you want to ask anything, you can please.
So I just had one last question, Ajay, which is, most of the citizens have voted air pollution as a priority issue for them. Clearly, everyone's worried about their lungs right now. And what would you suggest to the citizens, given all the work that you've done? What would you like to suggest to the citizens right now? What are the actions they can take, or how can they contribute towards this initiative? Do you have some suggestions for them
Yes. So
at this
there
point
are,
in time?
yeah, there are multiple factors that a citizen can contribute. One is being a watchdog, in terms of, as I said, if they see polluting vehicles, they should report to police, because when police or any authorities receive a lot of message from citizens, they are bound to act. They cannot just ignore this. So that is one of the factors. If they see there is garbage burning happening in their locality and all things, they should report that. They can do that by downloading a app from West Bengal Pollution Control Board. It's called Poribesh. There is an app. There is a CPCB app called Sameer. They can download. They can tag on Twitter and report to Kolkata police. So those are things that they can do. They can mail. They can call the police helpline, and they can report it to KMC for garbage burning. So that's one of the actions. Second is being mindful of their own actions. Uh, I would highly recommend that people really think and start adopting cycling for their short distance commute as well. So this is one factor which can really make a very big change, if that is something which goes down in the crowd. This thing, it's good for their health, and it's really, really good for the environment as well. So that's one of the things. So And I personally believe that it's not that some of us or a small group of us going zero waste or being zero carbon kind of lifestyle will have a significant impact. But if a large number of people start reducing some things by 10%, 20%, 30%, 50%, the cumulative impact will be very, very high. So it's just look at your areas and start making small changes. It could be at starting saving a few units of electricity in your homes, to choosing the vehicle that you drive. Can you just move away from diesel vehicles to look at alternatives? This thing, then choosing, as I said, cycling could be a factor. Then how you manage waste in your homes, how can you reduce waste, how can you start segregating waste, how can you if you can start composting your kitchen waste. So all of these factors. And I, being very honest, I personally also do not follow all of them. It's not feasible, this thing. And I don't think that, of course, some of the people can uh, really have gone vegan and take a lot of activities in extreme. So that's my personal opinion, that while we can have some people doing those things, it really inspires others. But for a large number of people, if they start adopting small measures also, the cumulative impact will be very high. And that's how we can move towards a better city. If they can start some small urban gardening on their rooftops, that also contributes to a solution. So there are so many factors you can do. Whatever you like, what is your interest, start with that. And it's this is not rocket science. It's very simple, that if there is high emissions, it is contaminating the air, and that's what you are breathing. It's going deep into your lungs, and it's affecting each and every organ in your body. It's not just your lungs, it affects each and every organ of your body. That's what health experts say. So it's very basic. And in terms of, now what we saw is that there is a immediate trigger, there is an emergency in terms of COVID. People started taking so many actions in terms of being more conscious about their immunity. People have started wearing masks. People would never wear masks. We would tell them that air quality is bad. The people would never wear masks. We have never seen traffic police wearing masks. We have distributed it so many times. We have made so many awareness about it, but people won't wear it. There were very few people who would wear it, because there that was very slow kind of thing. People would not understand that it's affecting this thing. But now it's all over there. And probably so far statistics say that more people will still die because of air pollution than this thing. So it's something which we need to think about. And this is a great opportunity to think about, reflect upon things, and start adopting sustainable life, because there is no other way out. If this continues, we are going to see worst of crisis ahead of us. I think you are on
We are
mute.
looking at two sides of the debate here. One is where we have to take adequate precaution for ourselves. So wearing our masks in a situation which is highly polluted, but also looking at the source problem and looking at, where we are acting as polluters, and how do we reduce those actions that result in pollution. So, and how do we hold responsible people or those who are engaging in polluting activities.
Yeah, so
So,
that's
and of
exactly
course,
what I said.
drastic shifts like moving from using vehicles to cycling. Or if I know that my business unit is a very polluting business unit, what can I do to bring in solutions there? Because I think this is the
Exactly.
right time to look at those opportunities, where if I have a polluting business unit, can I do something about it? Can I change the way I operate to reduce emissions?
Exactly.
Yes. So thanks, Ajay. I hope. Do we have any more questions, or do you want to finish off with some rounded comments and conclude the discussion?
No, I think I really am happy that from your survey you have found out that air pollution is a significant issue for people in the city. I think that's very important. And as we move towards winter months, I think this winter months is going to be very critical, because because we don't know how the COVID situation will play out. And in terms of air pollution levels, we have seen severe spikes in air pollution during the winters of November and this thing. So it will be very interesting to see how people's behavior change because of this year. Do we still see people bursting a lot of crackers during Diwali and everything continues, or people are more conscious, people this thing? So that's one of the interesting things that we will get to see. Second is how this next year being an election year also, how government takes up this issue, which is now important to the citizens. How does
Yes.
government it reflects in the manifestos of political parties? That's very interesting. We would like to see how it plays up in that realm, because we cannot ignore that the role of politics or government role is very significant in this thing. They can really drive change and accelerate action. So that's two things which I'm really this thing. So to appeal to the citizens would be to start raising this issue and write to governments and this thing to make it be heard as a issue, so that it reflects into the manifestos of political parties. And second is start taking small actions that could be good for them and for the environment as well.
Great. Thank you so much, Ajay. That
Thank
was
you.
a wonderful session. And yes, we are definitely hoping for more political action, because what is a citizen survey for but for better democratic action?